there. I think what happens is like the arm slowly drops over the weekend and I've not adjusted it right. So, Monday morning, Monday morning tea time. Let me fix this. Everybody have a good weekend. Let me turn live chat on even though it says I'm a loser and there's nobody here. It it always does that. It gaslights you for a while. It's like nobody actually wants to hear anything you say, April. You're just talking to yourself, which is very, very possible, I suppose, on a Monday morning. But I'm pretty good company. One person's here. One person thinks that it's worth showing up for. This morning, I am gonna make just a good old silver needle, and I put some in my pot because last time I ran out. Morning, as everybody rolls in, and I'm just gonna, it's my comfort tea. It's definitely what I would consider my daily drinker, right? Is silver needle, which is funny because technically it's a really fancy tea. So I've gone and got myself into a little bit of problems in the way that once I run out of the huge amount that I have because of a mistake through a company that was just pretty amazing, I am I'm gonna have to face the fact that that's an expensive tea to buy, and I need a little bit more in there. But yeah, we're just gonna have an easy Monday. We got a pretty busy day ahead of us. Morning, everybody rolling in, um, and just kind of gonna exist. Today we go and pick up a new milk goat and her two doe kidlings, and that'll be nice. Well, I hope to. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna taste her milk. I know that sounds really funny, but if you are buying a goat and milk, like if you're not buying a baby and raising it up, if you're buying a goat and milk, I highly suggest you taste its milk. And um, I don't know, people are pretty out there these days, so like I got a little shot glass I'm bringing with me to be like, let me taste your milk, because I don't want them to give me like a taste of a milk of a different animal that they have, right? Well, we're getting an alpine. And alpines either have really amazing sweet milk or really nasty milk. It's like depends on their genetics, right? And so I'm just gonna taste my investment before I bring her home. But I am excited. Hey everyone, thank you for rolling in. I hadn't planned on getting an alpine. We're waiting on two Nubians. Lady, we're gonna get some goats through who's finishing up her freshening season, and but I saw the listing on Craigslist and I was like, that's a good deal because it comes with two doelings too. So like I'll have two more females that in a couple years will be old enough to breed, and um, so I'll end up having Sanins or Sonins, however you want to say it, and then I'll have Alpines and Nubians, and that's a good mix of all the varieties of milk, higher fat content, lower fat content, more cream type of situation. Um, but yeah, so I'm that's what we're doing today, and it's a little bit of a drive, to go there, and but yeah, I had an okay day, had a pretty good weekend. We got a little bit of stuff done, and then ended up going for like a little picnic with my husband, and that was nice. And then came home and proceeded to like accidentally fall into like deep cleaning. I don't know. It was like, oh yeah, I went on a picnic and now I have the energy to mop. But that's what we did. I saved up and bought one of those, like, I think it's like Shark Wave or something. It's a mopping machine, and I can't do the mop and bucket anymore. It kills my neck. I end up, and then it's like you have to go over it two or three times. If not, you're just pushing dirty water around. And so I started to save up for one of those, like, it's like Pet Wave or something like that. I don't know. It's like a miniature carpet shampooer, but for hardwood floors or for hard floors, right? And it's a little slower, but I'll tell you what, when I'm done, I don't have any back pain. I'm not exhausted, and the floor is arguably cleaner because it's getting rid of the dirty water and constantly putting clean water down, so I'm not rubbing it back and forth, and it self cleans at the end of the cycle, which is super important. I mean, I still have to dump out the dirty water and stuff, but I like that it does that for me. So it was definitely an investment. I had to get the pet one, and it has like an extra filters in it for like potential hair and stuff. But they're spendy, but I saved up and I like kept I watch videos of it. I'm like, yes, look at that. Like for like months as I saved up, and they're not that expensive. I don't let myself buy super expensive things like right away. Like I make myself save for it because sometimes when we want to buy something it's for an emotional reason, right? And like there's that rule like wait 24 to 48 hours before you buy something to see if you still think you need it, right? And I'm like, it had been months and I still needed it. And arguably my house is way cleaner now. I mean, I've probably mopped, 8 times in the past 2 or 3 weeks, which is pretty big. It's pretty good for me, like because you don't want to get the bucket and then it's like I don't know. But it's been worth investing in. So I guess I'm excited about mopping this weekend. We had oh look what I realized on the picnic because I didn't bring my little drain cup with me. We were just sitting at a random like our Forest Service around here sometimes just dumps off picnic tables in the middle of the woods. You'll come across one deep back and you're like, all right. And I didn't bring my drain cup with me. And so I just sat it on the lid. My husband's like, I was always pretty sure that's what that was meant for. I'm like, I didn't think of it until then. And so now I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, I don't have a cup to sit in. The lid. The lid is what does it because I can't put the lid back on here. So I might as well, right? But yeah, and then we had our Sunday family dinner yesterday, and we brought it's tasty. We brought Lula with us, the new puppy to the family barbecue for the first time because it's important that she socialize with the humans that are allowed in my home, right? And so she had a good time. It was a little bit of chaos, because she wants to play with everything and everyone, and she's a 3-month-old puppy at this point, but she's like 45 pounds already. So she's big, and doesn't really know her. It's a Lenny situation. She like doesn't know her strength at this moment. Um, but she did pretty good and calmed down about halfway through, and she's been doing good at riding in the car. She's not a puker. I'm so grateful for that. So grateful. I'd like to think that her trip to us helped break her into being in a car, right? And so we've been going on walks and stuff. And when we were up at our picnic, when we were done and heading back, a couple had pulled up to go hiking and they let their dogs out off of a leash. People tend to do that. I could tell that they were from like a surrounding city area and like came to our remote area to go hiking. And so they get here and they assume that they can just let their dogs loose, right? That there wouldn't be other people. And I'm like, hi, there were other people. And this little cow dog comes barreling to bite my husband. And my husband just laughs because this thing is like this big. He's like, get out of here. But Lula handled that really well. I mean, she like growled a little bit nervously, right? Because there's a dog coming to kill our person. But it's something that we have to be prepared for, try to train her to understand like how to function around a world that doesn't control their animals and things like that, so but somebody said why I look sad. I don't know, why do I look sad to you? Because I don't feel very sad. Feel all right. But yeah, so I got my rhubarb starts put out in the greenhouse yesterday. They were in the little inside greenhouse, and I was like, out you go. It's time. I figured, oh, I remembered, I forgot to flip this. Saw it in the background, not moving. But, yeah, so that was good, and then got a little bit of gardening done. Not a whole lot. Got some dirt moved around and some rocks piled up I'm building like a rock patio in front of our front door, but out of like river rocks that are already here. So we kind of collect them as we move dirt around and pull them out of the dirt. The guy who built this place, at some point he must have had a massive load of the flat round river rocks brought in because they don't occur naturally on a hill where we're at. But I've been slowly collecting them, and I'm gonna put so I've got them in a big square, and then when they're all ready I'm going to cover them with dirt and sweep it in, which sounds crazy, but then I'm going to plant like so many clover seeds that nothing else besides clover will grow up through it. So it's like living, but in the wintertime, that clover will die back. But it will come back in the spring, no problem, with all the seeds and everything it drops. But also, it really helps with the mud. It really helps with the mud coming into the house. And we live on clay, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you think that you're like, oh, if you have mud, people are like, oh, if you have mud, you're not managing your farm well. I'm like, if you have never lived on clay, it doesn't matter. Like, even the gravel we put down for our driveway will only last a couple years, because inevitably when the clay underneath gets wet, the gravel gets pushed down, and sometimes you can like blade it with the tractor and pull some of the gravel back up, but it just sinks back down. So you just kind of have to put layer after layer of gravel, and eventually mud just happens. This is a little tiny. It's technically it's like a hybrid, like gung fu tea set. I like that it goes inside of this, and then this becomes your fair share cup, right? Like, you can share with more people. It comes with a second cup and a little carrying case. And when we took it upriver, we took it with us, and I took one of these with me, and I filled a thermos full of hot water. I can't believe that. I've looked around, and I might have missed it, but there's nobody that makes like a little like battery powered electric kettle that you could take in the woods with you. Not that I can find, because it would probably take a lot of power to make water boil. But I don't need the water to boil for tea, And so that is something that I think that would be a good invention if somebody wants to get on to doing that. Right? Because I can put it in the thermos, but it depends on how far you're going. And next time I think I'll make the water like extra hot, because by the time we get there it's cooled down some, even though it's in a thermos. But somebody said that I should do sponsored ads, and funny that you mention it, because today's sponsor is me. I make my own things, and I don't like the concept of sponsors outside of myself, because I don't want to have to watch what I say, right? Like, I don't want to have to talk to you about something that I don't believe in. Like, how many of you are actually drinking that fucking AG1 powder that you see every YouTube drinker? I'm like, oh, that stuff looks nasty. But, they get paid and they say it, but I'd rather work for myself. So this is my Rosemary Lions Synergism capsules. I make all kinds of synergism capsules. There's something for everybody, but today, for a hot minute, I'm going to shamelessly talk about my Rosemary Lions Mane Synergism capsule. She is all about supporting cognitive function. Cognitive function being like brain fog, memory, ADHD, attention span, and all that stuff rolled into one. It's a micro dose formula, and it's real herbs, meaning there's not extracts in here, there's not essential oils in here, there are no nasty fillers or anything like that. This is just rosemary and activated lion's mane mushroom powder. And it's a microdose formula, and that means you only take one capsule a day. Not 6, not 10, not 5, like all these other herbal supplements typically do. And so it's just one capsule. And because this bottle is huge, that means one bottle lasts you 2 months. Now, as a person who's had to go through all types of supplements and things in my life, it's crazy to have a bottle last that long. So if you are wanting to support your cognitive function, to pay attention, to remember why you walked into the room in the first place, and that kind of stuff, consider checking out my Rosemary Lion's Mane Synergism capsules by following if you're rewatching this, hi future person, the pinned comment in the comment section. If you're watching now, you can get there through the link in my bio. But yes, also, I'm really proud to say that like all of my supplements are third party tested. They're super tested. We actually can't even use herbs that don't come with a COA, which is a certificate of analysis. And then we have to test against that COA to make sure what they send us is what they actually sent us. And then we can put it together, and then at the end we do third party testing to make sure what we say is in there, and that there's nothing harmful like bacteria and things like that. So these are my Rosemary Lions Synergism capsules, and everything you call home from the Apothecary helps support my existence. And you can use the one-time code TEATIME, TEATIME, to save 10% off of anything, including those capsules. And that concludes your sponsored message from April. Yeah, and so there's also like I started offering like subscription options. So like you save 20% automatically if you choose a subscription option. That's where it delivers every 2 months. Because again, a bottle lasts 2 months. And if you pair the code Tea Time, which is 10% off the first time you subscribe, that one time you'll get 30% off your first bottle. So it's super helpful. Yeah, I thought to myself, I've got to start shamelessly advertising for myself. Right, but I don't want to just like make a whole episode about it. For those of you that have like hung out with me for a long time, especially on Instagram, you know that like I used to go like live before a shop update and talk for like literally like 2 to 3 hours about everything that was going to be in the shop, and then we'd have the shop update, and then once it settled down in the morning, I'd then talk for 2 hours about what was left in the shop. And everybody really loved them, but they're hard on my body. My brain loved it. My brain can continue to give you information. Like I might be like dead, and my brain would still be like wah wah wah, but my physical body can't take it. And I've got some new capsules coming up too. I don't know. So I've just switched. I don't do the shop updates anymore. So I have to find a way to shamelessly advertise. And I'm like, I might just do a pop up commercial in between the lives, right? Um, about little things here and there. I'm most excited right now. I've got a big amount of help with all my mouth muds. And I've had help with the original mouth mud for a while, but I switched everything over to the same facility that helps me make the synergism capsules because I really love working with them, and they are super on top of compliance and being clean and inspected on a regular basis by the FDA. And so I'm moving as much over with them as I can because I really love them. But I'm also about to drop in bulk my charcoal tooth powder and a new mint tooth powder. And of course, this is real herbs, not essential oils. And so I'm pretty excited about that. And so then I also have an herbal, like mineral synergism thing in the works, right? Like mineral supplement. There's no other way to say it, but I'm really excited about that one. Just for like my own personal use. And like that one was crazy though because I have to do not just the normal testing, but I have to do like dietary testing after that, where I have to send it out to see how much of a daily value is like in each microdose pill. And I've never had to do that testing before, so I'm really interested in seeing things like come back. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Mike. Yeah, and if you can't call anything from my apothecary home because like maybe you live too far away, I do ship worldwide, but things are expensive these days shipping internationally. You can become a member to my channel. It's just a way to throw me a couple bucks a month. You do get early access to videos if I upload them early during the week, and if you can't afford it, don't worry. Every Saturday they're released to non-members, so it's like a time wall, not a paywall, right? Um, Question: do you roast or soak your bones first before bone broth? I don't. You can if you want to, but if I'm gonna cook my bones, it's because I'm gonna eat the marrow myself. Right. But you can add a little bit of vinegar to your bone broth if you want. That's said to like help extract the nutrients out of the bone a little bit more. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for all kinds of things this summer. What's crazy is like it has taken me all of last summer, part of the winter before this last winter that we're coming out of, to get all of my herbal synergism capsules up and going. And at first, I jumped through a ton of hoops with the DEA to be able to buy an encapsulating machine. And it was so crazy because I outgrew it within like 3 months of owning it. And now I just use it for R&D, like research and development of what blends I want to make next because I can't keep up with your guys' amazing demand. But it has opened up so many doors, and I'm really grateful that I did outgrow it because it finally, it pushed me into being able to really truly find somebody that could work with me on outsourcing these, and it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to step back. And then last year, I like humbled myself and like asked for everybody's support. I like asked people to consider subscribing to one of my synergism capsules, even though there wasn't very many to subscribe from at the time, because it was going to free me, and it did. And now here I am this summer seeing like the freedom back. Like, in no world prior to getting help making all of these offerings that I continue to expand on would I have time to go live every morning and then record a little video for Instagram and then have that upload here in the evening and then also record a video in the week. And just, I didn't have space or time to teach freely or write the books people want me to write or just be really present with you, let alone myself or my family. Because, you know, the Apothecary, as much as a blessing as it was, became all consuming, right? It was like 14-hour days. It was like constant. And then the more wore down I got, the harder it got. And it was just, the Apothecary was meant to be able to support my ability to teach freely versus me working to like feed the never-ending apothecary, right? And so it has been a big break, and I'm finally seeing like the huge light at the end of the tunnel and being able to be present in the way I want to. So for anybody who's still in the thick of it, don't give up, because like it's coming. It's sometimes like change is hard too, right? Because I've been doing the same thing for a decade, and your nervous system and your body and everything like just doesn't know any different. And I've talked about it before, where these tea times going live with everybody every morning have shifted me out of that mindset, right? It allowed me to see that I have made the change, that I do have the time, that I am not dying, that I don't have to work 14-hour days, that it's going to be okay, and that like, but change can be really hard when that's like the devil, you know. Right. Like, even though the change is for the better, you're like, oh, this fucking sucks. And it was hard to move through it, you know? But yeah, somebody said, what's a book? Well, I don't know if I can help you with that. I have a lot of books. I have one that I need to get reprinted, but like, well, that's the one that I need to get reprinted. This one's out of print right now. This is my first one. And I need to just go through and I want to do an edit and I want to make it formatted better and things like that. But in the shop right now, I have all of my my common ways for common people series. So these are method books, not necessarily recipe books. Like this one will tell you how to make tinctures and elixirs and things like that out of any herb you want. This one's all about infused oils, how to do that. This one's all about making like balms and salves and oil-based body butters. And then this one's all about like teas, brews, and infusions. I will say with the teas, brews, and infusions, there's a few recipes in there and herbs to talk about. But you know, you can buy them out of order or anything like that. And they're just written for like the average person that wants to jump in. You don't have to be like, I don't know. I own herbalist books and things like that. But they're always like, I swear to God, herbalists write books for other herbalists, right? It's more about like showing people like how much you know or like whatever, and then the average person picks that book up and they're like, it's complicated, it's overwhelming, you can't just jump right in. And my books, that's why I call them common ways for common people. I had a person call me a common person a while back. They're like, you're nothing more than a common person trying to be somebody important. There was another herbalist who told me that, and I was like, fuck, I guess I am just a common person, but I'd rather be that than an asshole. So, you know, we're all right. But it made me think about, like, I'm like, that's what I'm going to call the books. Right? Because I don't know about you, but I'd rather be a common person, you know? And so I do have a bunch more books, a whole nother series to come with that for herbs themselves and, like, matching it to, like, health stuff. I have my I Am of Protocol book in the works. I have a small ebook in the work for pet stuff. But the truth is, right now is big outside time. Right? I've got until, I got to be ready by like the 1st of June to plant everything out. So I don't really have time to sit down and write a whole lot right now. But after June, the heat comes and then we become mole people. Where it's like we're outside in the morning and maybe in the evening, but like, because we're in a high mountain desert, like, you don't really want to be outside when it's like 115 degrees unless you have to be. So at that point in time, we're kind of hiding in a shady house, and then I have time to write the same way that I do in the winter because I'm hiding out, you know. Um, but so I plan on pushing out a bunch of books this summer too, and um, I like keeping them. Like I could have made this like one big book, right? But I like making it by sections because then each book is more affordable for me to print and by proxy for you to buy because I self-publish. And then you can buy the ones you need without, like, what if you already are really good at making tinctures and you don't need to do that? But also, all of that information has been given freely for like a decade here on my YouTube. So like even if you can't afford to pay, you can just go through all my videos and take notes and kind of figure out what I'm teaching. I just kind of put everything from my brain onto a page because people had asked me to. Um, but but yeah, so I'm kind of feeling the rush. I'm kind of feeling the rush of being behind. I felt it a little bit yesterday. It made me feel kind of emotional. You know, because it's frustrating because like I have really big ambitions and a very, and so I can do a lot with a tractor. Like I'm the main tractor driver around here, but like I still have a lot of physical limitations because I'm only 5'4", right? And sometimes with gardening stuff, it's like very physical and manual. And like as much as I want to be strong, I do not have the body of like a 6 foot man, right? You know, so it's frustrating because I want to get out there and get stuff done, but if I don't have somebody, like if my husband's not free or my son took off for the day, like I'm like, I can't. I mean, I do my best, right? And so, but yesterday it got to me a little bit, and I'm like, okay, May is creeping up. I'd like to have the main beds layered and built in by May. Some stuff needs to be planted in May, but then in June, and so, but I'm just like trying to take a breath, and I'll just start directing people, and we'll get it done. We'll get it done. I just was like, I just trying to fill this like little area for beets yesterday, and it like about killed me to bring over this one wagon worth of dirt. I got it there finally, and then I was like, all right, now I have one of those like gorilla carts where it like lifts up like a dump truck, right? I'm like, now you just have to lift this thing full of dirt. I did it, but I'm like, I can't do it again. You know, and so it's you know, it's hard. Somebody said that's how tall I am too. It can be hard doing some things that require height. Yeah, I told my husband yesterday. I'm like, I don't have the leverage. Like if you're 6 foot tall or taller, like you have like a long way that you can pull and push, and I'm just down here from the ground like, you know. But it's always been something that kind of gets to me because I'm like, I see all these big things, and my brain's like, I don't understand why you have limitations, feeble human body. um, and so you know, it is what it is, but we always surely get some degree of it done, you know. And I did stack a ton of rocks yesterday. That patio thing I talked about in the beginning, it's already like a little over halfway built. It's just like we're playing Tetris with the flat rocks, how they all fit. And so I find a big pile at once, and then I Tetris them, and then I find more, and then I Tetris them, right? And then it's a little patio type area. Um, so I did do that. I did pull out some weeds, and I'm pretty happy because I was really worried that these like perpetual like perennial beets where you don't harvest the root but you're growing it for the leaf. I was really worried that they weren't going to sprout because it had been longer than the average beet takes, and then suddenly they're popping up like crazy, and I was like, yes. um and so I'm happy about that. All my tomatoes that I repotted are looking fantastic. Today we get a goat. I've got lots of plans, and if I get even 1% of them done, I've done a good job. So yeah, I think that I had a pretty good weekend. I think this week coming up will be pretty decent. I think today's going to be pretty good. We also, when we go to get the goat today, because where we're going is like a bigger city area, there's a sushi place over there that we never get out to places like that, and so we're going early. So we're gonna have a little lunch together before we go and get the goat because we can't. They'll just be in the back of our truck. We have a canopy, right, and we'll have a cage for the baby goats, but then we have like a tether for the mom, right? Because it's it's not worth hauling a trailer all the way over there for like one goat. I wouldn't do it if the back of your truck was open, unless you had like an enclosed cage for them to be in, so they weren't like blown on by the wind and like terrified. But yeah. Okay. So if you would like to support my capacity to be a human, to be just a horrible, just common human. You can become a member, like I talked about. Like, again, it's just a way to throw me a couple bucks a month. It gets you early access to videos if I happen to upload them early in the week. And like I say, if you can't afford, don't worry, you'll have access to those videos on the weekend. You can call something home from my Apothecary. And again, the one-time code to save 10% is TEATIME, TEATIME. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share. Sharing is super important because it helps other people realize that they're smart enough to do it too, including words and other things that don't come out smoothly from my mouth. And you know, it gets my work out there so other people will realize that they can be like a very flawed human and do this stuff too. So thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Monday morning, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Bye.